the first day I was ever up here, driving pilings to install our marine railway for this boat that my father had bought. Owen Duffy and Dan Williams were in a John boat with an outboard, and they went out and going like hell, and they went out in the middle of the lake and staked off the hedgerow. And they put stakes at each end of it, these water level stakes that got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 feet or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
And they staked the hedgerow. Those stakes stayed out there. The one on this side stayed there for 20 years, I bet.
And there were some stumps out there.
Oh, and
too.
there were stumps at low water, you could see them. But but at high water, and
so a couple of years ago, I took one of our paddle boards in the wintertime.
Yeah.
It was a hot day, or a warm day for winter, and I went out there and hopped off, and it's that deep. And we see boats all the time, don't we?
Yeah.
Stuck out there.
oh yeah.
Well, that part that we see is the part that we run into, but that darn thing runs all the way down.
Yeah, it's a hedgerow. It goes all the way across.
It's interesting looking at those old pictures before the dam was completed about how the river has that island in it.
There's an island down there.
I hit that island once with a J-30
Did you?
in a storm. You were going up and down like this, and when we went down, the keel hit the top of that island.
All right. Did you get stuck?
No, it just boom.
once you've been, yeah. It's funny when we're sailing sometimes in the wintertime, we'll say, okay, if it starts bumping, tack immediately and
Well,
get off of it.
when I'm sailing with Bob, he's got a depth finder, and he goes beep, we tack or jibe, but we get out of there whenever it.
Right, he's pretty conservative. So who were some of the better sailors?
Well, Owen Duffy, Harold Gilreath, Billy Roberts. I think that
No,
covers it.
Gilreath wasn't here.
In the 50s, he was when I was sailing.
In the 50s, yeah, okay, yeah. At the beginning, the main sailors were Owen Duffy, Dixie Roberts. Your daddy didn't come in.
No, we
until-
didn't get here till 51, and he wasn't a great sailor.
But
He was
in
a
the
good
first
sailor-
10
good
years
sailor.
of the club, Owen Duffy, a fellow named Carter, his wife's name was Belle Jean. What was his name?
Howard Carter?
No, that's not.
Oh, wait, Belfield.
Belfield Carter.
Belfield Carter, yeah.
He was a pretty good sailor, and I've got some names.
So the early sailors, they kind of came in they brought knowledge from outside of this area.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, there was.
There wasn't any lake here.
There wasn't any lake here until 40,
Right.
when the dam was completed. What was the general feeling in the community about a sailing club opening up in Chattanooga, Tennessee?
Really, I don't think there was a notice in the paper, and 20-something people showed up.
Right. Okay.
And there's an article in the paper. I got it in here in
I've seen it.
Okay.
There are people here in Chattanooga today who don't know that there's a sailing club
Right.
here.
Well, they did a better job back in the day. When I joined this club in 51, I knew the names of all the competing sailors because I
And by
read it-
51, we had a pretty good
I read
group.
them in the paper every Monday morning. They would have the results of the
Races.
Privateer Yacht Club point score races. They called them into the paper. And they were always in the paper every Monday morning. I could read the sports page and I could find out who had
A
won
little
the
blurb
races.
that long.
And it would have the name, and everybody's boat had a name. And you know who had sailed on the boat and who the name of the boat. And
We also had a sports writer that was
interesting.
liked sailboats, and so we
And
had.
then-
and his father being
and then when
the head of the paper,
when the editor of the paper joined,
That helped, right?
that helped a lot.
oh yes, we got lots of publicity when the editor of the paper joined.
Right, right. And so the 50s, came along, and then 60s.
Well, we were one of the largest snipes fleets in the
We were
country.
the largest snipe fleet in the world.
And
at
how
one
many
time.
were we had huge regattas here. How many boats were in some of those regattas?
50,
40, 50 boats
40, 50.
on a regular basis.
Right. Right.
On a regular basis.
Right.
We had great crowds of people here.
And
And
the course was always out here, or did
yep,
you go further up
always
the lake?
out here.
You set it up, you put the buoys out there, and they'd race around the buoy. We never used navigational buoys. We had our own buoys.
Right. Well, what kind of club boat did you have for RC? Did you have an RC boat, or did you just go out there
Quite
and sail
often,
around?
one of the guys that was racing was the race committee.
When we started out, first point score race I ever raced in, when I crewed for Harold Gilreath, Dan Williams was fleet captain, and he was running the time. And I think he had a whistle.
Probably.
And he'd blow a whistle and say 3 minutes.
They didn't have air horns back then.
I mean, he's racing, but he's letting us know when we're going to start the race on his stopwatch. Let me tell you, back then, nobody ever, if you were over early, you went back. There wasn't ever any question.
Are you familiar with the term Corinthian?
It was, if you hit a mark,
Okay.
you retired.
Yeah. That was it.
That was just it.
Back then, nobody argued.
Nobody. It was, and now, it ain't that way.
Yeah.
It was just.
Yeah. Well,
No,
you try to upset the other guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, in NASCAR, they say if you ain't cheating, you ain't winning.
Well, that guy that won this past weekend, he said, I knew I was going to have to hit him to win, so he hit him, but he didn't hit him enough to spin him out. He just hit him enough to get by him. And he said it was bump and win.
Here is the difference in the way it was. As Pat says, totally Corinthian. You would be, you didn't dare, because if you screwed up out there and didn't take your penalty or whatever, you had to come to shore, and nobody's going to talk to you. You're going to be. They know you now, and they don't have anything to do with you.
Sure. Right.
A good friend of mine is a former laser world champion and Olympic competitor, and he was taught in college never to cheat, but always to make them think you're cheating.
Explain that concept.
Well, the concept is that way if they don't worry about boat speed, they worry about you instead of what they ought to be worrying about. And it's hard to sail one boat. It's just impossible to sail two.
To sail someone else's while they're in it. That's good. The 60s came along. Was that a big deal? I mean, were the club members like enjoying parties and playing Beatles music? And
like I said, I don't guess I have told you this. When I was Commodore in '65, we had 40 members, and we had no keel boats. They were all dinghies. We had some big dinghies, one or two that were 18 or 19 feet long. That was the biggest we had.
We had one keel boat.
Well,
that was George Stolley.
Well, okay. Yeah.
Howard Carter and George Stolley.
It rotted away. Yeah, okay. But we, Commodore after me, in '66, I guess '65, might have been the year I was Commodore. Charlie Hickey bought a keel boat and brought it into the club. His daddy bought the second one, and I guess I bought the fourth.
I was going to say you bought the
third or fourth one, and we ended up with 7 keel boats. And of course, our club for 20 years had always raced. We are a racing club, and so we started. By the time we got over, as soon as we had 3 boats here, we started racing one design in keel boats, and we ended up with 7 of them. And we'd have 7 boats out there every now and then, not regularly, because they were used more as keel boats or cabin on the water type thing. But
do you feel like
that's in the late '60s, though, is before you ended up with needing all these docks, because all the snipes were up on the bank.
Right. And then the bigger boats came in, and we needed to start putting docks in.
Yeah.
So when was the first floating dock put in?
Well, we brought
That,
all right, when we left Chickamauga Boat Harbor, they ran us off probably in the late 40s, because we don't know exactly when we went to Gold Point, but that's where we went.
we had a floating dock there that the club
And we had to
members-
have a floating dock because there was nothing there.
We had bank rigs for the snipes and a floating dock that the club members built, and I think Billy Roberts' letter says they got it
It's a
from
framework for B dock.
It's a
It's
kit.
our original dock.
It was a kit, and it was brought up here, and as soon as it was up here, Harold Gilreath brought a snipe up, and spring of '51.
Just like that.
But back in those days, every Sunday we had a snipe race, and everybody, if it was just like this,
We'd go
we'd
race.
paddle. Everybody'd paddle out there they set the line up and get ready to start, and sit there for 2 hours swimming,
Right.
and then
Which we
paddle back.
We sometimes do that today.
Do they?
We sometimes go out there and just.
We
float
paddle
around.
back.
No, we'd go out in
My
nothing.
kids used to sleep in the bottom of the boat, both of them.
Is that right?
We'd go out in nothing.
It was a race was scheduled. We went out to the race course.
What were the '70s like here?
We started quieting down.
See, you,
'60s. I
you-
got here. I got back. In
You're going pretty
65.
fast, but I mean, the snipe was when I was Commodore. If you didn't have a snipe, you're probably not going to get in the club. 40, I think, was our maximum. That's all the facilities we had. Was
But that slowly changed because you had like the J24s that started
they didn't come till
coming
the
in.
late 70s.
late '70s.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
we had.
somebody-
But no,
somebody named
before
Crowe.
that you had thistles, you had Highlanders, and that was a big fleet. The Highlanders. We even had a national race here.
Had a Highlander National Championship here. Had some pretty well-known sailors.
But if
here,
you got a fireball in the class, usually the fleet captain, then that class will grow as long as he's there. In the Catalina 22s, it was Kent
Overbeck.
Overback, and he built the largest Catalina 22 fleet in the world.
But I hear
It was
you
right here.
I hear you're a little bit of a fireball for the J24s.
I was, yes.
Pat Crowe is the reason we had J24s and a large fleet of them, and had J24 races, and it was fun.
We had over 24 of them.
24 J24s.
Yeah.
What was
And
the
we'd have a regatta out here with almost 40 boats.
What was the Michelob regatta like?
Well, it was at that same time, but
That was a handicap, so it'd be
that was a handicap race.
and
See, you got to think of two types of racing. One design when all the boats are the same. The only difference is the skipper. And then handicap racing, and there are a number of different handicaps available. And none of them satisfactory.
or that somebody's got an unfair handicap, or is unfairly handicapped. Nobody. It's never totally satisfactory.
Think about how they come up with a handicap. And the one we're still using is the PHRF. PHRF. All right, that was put together nationwide. But think about the different winds you have nationwide. And the large fleets are where they have wind. And those are the better sailors because they better competition, better sailors. And so that's who they use to develop these handicaps. And then when they trickle down to, say, us here, we don't have much wind. And you always end up with the ones that had the hottest sailors in them have the best handicaps. And
Right. So, but I do hear about some of those old regattas. Michelob was one that just comes up.
yeah, well, we had a good relationship
We
with a
had
beer
80
distributor.
One year we had 80 boats. Cecil Pierce, former member, now no longer among the living, had a close relationship with Beasley Distributing. and he got Beasley to. I don't know whether Beasley helped him buy that spinnaker or not, but he put a great big Michelob on the
Good
spinnaker.
advertising for that.
Yeah, and there was no such thing as advertising in sailing in those anywhere in those days.
Basically, it's still that same way. You get a few more.
What are you talking about? I put advertising in the snipe class. What are you talking about?
Do they allow it now?
I put it in when I was Commodore of the snipe class in 2001
It's all your fault.
or 2003. I put advertising in the snipe class.
Okay.
The truth is, it was there, and we couldn't police it, and so we had to let it in because they were doing it all over South America and in Spain.
It's amazing when I think that we're already in the year 2018.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
But you just mentioned 2003. What was the change like from going from the 1990s to the 2000s? You know, there was this idea of Y2K. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And did you feel that the club changed any in the transition from one century to the next?
There has been a change, and I'm not sure that it is tied in any way to the change of the decade.
The biggest
The
change
big
came.
change is that this club is racing way more actively today, and at a much higher level today than it has since the '60s.
Since the snipes, yeah.
Because when we I came back to Chattanooga in the winter of '64, January of '64, when I moved back to Chattanooga after college and being out around and living all over Georgia and South Carolina, and kind of made a decision that I was just going to live here. Owen had died, Harold had moved away, and Billy had moved away, and they were our three best sailors. But Peter DeVoisen had moved in, and Buzzy Lamb and Lloyd Cox were sailing at a very high level, and we still had a snipe fleet that we had sailors that could win any regatta in the country. Our guys were good. Our 3 or 4 top guys were just as good as anybody. and then John Wesley's son Van, who actually did win in international competition in the snipe class.
He died early.
And John's son died very, very early. Cancer got him. But as that group of young men, Van Wesley, several others who are still in the club, as they started marrying and having children and had to start families, and they couldn't continue racing boats the same way. Mm-hmm. And it got where we weren't doing it anymore. When we were having snipe regattas, we had people who had international reputations here racing and come in to race this boat. People came from everywhere. We get them from New England. We get them from the Great Lakes.
Texas.
Come up from Florida.
Texas.
I mean, yeah.
Wichita.
And we had terrific competition here. And that went on right until almost the end of we had that regatta for 55 years, I think, before we finally canned it. And
There was less than 20 coming the last few years.
Right.
Well,
fades away.
I was Commodore here, I think in '80, and we had a pretty big entry coming, and we had a flood. And everybody read about it, and nobody came.
Oh, really?
I mean, they read there's a flood, and it was in the news. The South Cove, the docks floated off the pilings.
Mm-hmm. Well, these floated. We didn't have South Cove. We didn't have South Cove docks then.
I tell you, I went down and drove pilings I drove timbers in the pilings, so that if it floated off, it would contain them. Okay. And it didn't.
All right. One thing that happened in the '90s, we had a Commodore, the guy from Washington, Annapolis. What's his name? He was
Talking about,
electrical EPB.
oh, oh, don't ask me.
He was a strong Commodore, and he pushed raising the dues and opening up for more members. And we had a big jump in membership in the 90s, and that's what allowed us to do the things that we're doing. And now, of course, what we're doing now is because of the increase of dues when they were getting ready to build this.
Bill Muessler.
Muessler, right.
And this was a big undertaking, making this clubhouse. And there was a lot of back and forth on
Well, we did the bulk of this work ourselves.
I know, but there was a lot of discussion internally.
Y'all have been here for the first one.
That's one he's talking about, isn't it? The first one?
This one.
The first one.
No, where we are now.
Oh, the current, yeah. I was against it myself.
Sure.
I was dead against it because I didn't want to lose the atmosphere that we have.
Right.
But when they convinced me that the atmosphere would be the same, which it is, I was all for it.
I'm in that same boat. I knew that we were going to lose everything that we had. And I went off, and I also was worried about the finances. And I was running a regatta down in North Alabama with Bill Robertson as my assistant. And so Bill had me, we were sharing a hotel room. So he had me where he wanted. And no, actually, I asked him questions. And we discussed this thing the whole time we were down there. And he sold me on the fact that we were being financially responsible and what we were going to get. And I came back from that regatta on board.
On board.
And in fact,
Everybody came
I was still at that time, I either because I'd been Commodore a second period, I'd been Commodore a second time. I was still on the board as the former Commodore, or else I had just rotated off. But I made a motion to A, increase the dues, and B, open the membership. Because I had also, and something else that had happened to me is I had been down in Florida at Coral Reef Yacht Club, a huge yacht club with a membership in the thousands, at a regatta. And they don't have any more parking than we do. And I thought, if they can do it, why can't we? Mm-hmm. And
so I wonder.
And I made both those. I actually made both those motions.
So you touched on something I find very interesting about this club. You mentioned the atmosphere, and you didn't want to lose the atmosphere. So what would you say is our atmosphere here? Can you define it? Can you
active sailors,
yeah.
Racing sailors.
Yeah.
Racing, is every weekend, and then regatta.
Now it's during the week too.
Well, yeah. Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Informal and active.
See, I think that is interesting. When I was joining the club and I heard yacht club, I was thinking, I'm not sure that's really my style. But then we came up here and we noticed it's an active membership, and it's informal. It's kind of laid back. You don't have to put on a blue blazer.
No, we don't have any tennis courts or swimming pools either. Well, we've seen clubs close by that formed a long time after us, and the tennis court people and the swimming pool people take over, and normally those are people that have money, but see, we started off with nothing, did everything ourselves. We only started paying somebody to cut the grass within the last 10-15 years. Prior to that, we did it ourselves. Mm-hmm. Maybe longer than that, I don't know. That'd be back in the 90s, I guess.
And we only started paying somebody outright money to clean the club when we opened this clubhouse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
this new clubhouse,
the new one. But most of the work, we have a work party coming up August 4th, but the majority. We have cobwebs to clean up. A club member will get a broom, mayflies every year.
Remember when Joyce Wesley used to hanging baskets in every...
Yeah.
So just leave me with something. What do you see next 25, 50 years for this club? And as Chattanooga is growing and as sailing, you know, some clubs have lost that active participation. We seem to be running on all cylinders here.
Yeah.
What do you see for us for the next 25
I don't see any
50 years?
major problem. This club itself can handle 200 members, easy, and without any more parking.
I think
Because
that's
in the
great.
old days, when we didn't have as many parking spaces as we have now, they'd park all the way up the road and all the way up to Gam Store Road. And if you got it, they'll come.